Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports Georgia. We got a jam-packed show for you guys. Going to talk about some players headed into the NFL. Lad McClunkey winning himself a big award. And then, of course, wide receiver coach headed to the NFL. But, of course, we've got to bring in the Georgia Bulldog expert, Mr. Bryce Mandala. Bryce, happy Monday to you. Happy Daytona 500. Just finished watching that. Not sure if you're a NASCAR fan. We didn't break that out beforehand, but
Not so much, not so much.
younger crowd. I wouldn't expect that. I'm still holding on to my youth
Yeah.
there. How we feeling, man? How we feeling about the? We obviously had a little bit of a week break. Some news, nothing too crazy, but how we feel about the movement so far?
I mean, not too much going on in terms of, recruiting, not any crystal balls that I've seen, really nothing going on in the transfer portal either. This is just kind of a slow period, for college football. I mean,
Sure.
what, late mid-February? This is, the time for college basketball, so just nothing too notable in comparison to some other times of the year, like once we get into summer, fall, but yeah.
To be fair, I mean, this is really the only offseason. It's 2 weeks of college football, I would say. Maybe you can give it the month of February, but with the transfer portal, this thing is extended out now more than it ever has before because come March, you're going to have practice, and then we're right back into talking about, what we're seeing, the new guys coming in, how Ryan Puglasi, people are roasting me about saying his last name wrong. We're just having some fun here, guys. Take it easy in the comments. But so look, I mean, the offseason is very short, so we'll be right back in it in the swing of things here quickly. And the recruiting's going to heat up. It's obviously the dead period right now, but we head into the quiet period where you are allowed to have recruits on campus, which I imagine they're going to start flooding them in when the practice does start. So we'll definitely have some more to talk. But first order of business, Mr. Lad McClunkey wins the Warfare Award. Talk about that, big guy.
Yes, the Wolf Award is given to college football's most impactful leaders in community service. And this year it was Georgia wide receiver Lad McConkey. Lad has just been known for being a great guy on and off the field. I kind of got a little resume for him right here. McConkey has supported children treated at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and the Children's Hospital of Georgia. He has also worked with the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services at Elks Aidmore, which is an organization that provides therapeutic services and other resources for foster children. You see him on social media, just going to the local elementary schools, reading to them. Yeah, the guy's just a stud on and off the field. He in, improved his draft stock dramatically at the Reese Senior Bowl, and now he's winning awards like this for his, community service off the field. So just a good look. I think it raises his draft stock even more. Just shows that, he's a hard worker and he's not going to have any issues off the field. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
For sure. I mean, this is somebody that, again, I have some Georgia friends that I talked to, and coming into the season, it was Lau was somebody to look out for. I think he had much more of an impact than, look at myself, anyways. Maybe Georgia fans, obviously much closer to to the system, may have felt that the what he produced was definitely expected, but had a massive year, improved his draft stock throughout the year, and then again in the Senior Bowl. And this is one of those off the field type of things. It's like I don't have to worry about this guy. He's going to be just an everyday guy, comes in
Exactly.
early,
Yeah.
leaves late, grinds it out. It's again going to increase his draft stock, maybe because his talent isn't there, but again, it's somebody that I can bring in, I can trust. Like in a way, in an Edelman, right? Edelman was a guy that came in. You knew he was going to grind. Is he going to be able to elevate himself to be somebody, a day one guy? That part we don't know. That's going to obviously take time and see how he develops and learns the quarterback. But he earns that trust. We'll see how it plays out for him. But some news. Speaking of wide receiver, keeping it in the family, your wide receiver coach decided to dip out and head to the NFL. And honestly, people might think like it's panic time. Georgia really doesn't panic about anything. You guys also lost your strength and conditioning coach just a few days ago as well. But that kind of seemed like an off and on thing.
Mhm.
As a Florida fan, right, we lose somebody right now, the whole sky is falling. But you guys are in a very comfortable place with your program. You're like, is what it is. We still got Kirby. Kind of like how Bama was. You never really knew who came or went. As long as the head, King was there and Saban, everything was going to be okay. So coaches head into the NFL, though, it's becoming an epidemic. They're leaving in waves, and you have to think a lot of it has to do with just a new landscape. A lot of coaches didn't sign up for the 24/7 cycle of college football. And we were just talking too that the offseason is so small. We've got 2 weeks of it basically in February, and then it's going to pick right back up. We got spring practice. Recruits are allowed to come back on campus, and then from March till basically August, You know what I mean? It's showtime. Maybe that the intensity isn't there, but you're constantly on call.
Yeah. One thing I think too is Georgia's kind of becoming that spot where if you're a DB, wide receiver, running backs coach at Georgia, it's going to open doors for a lot of other opportunities in higher positions at like a smaller school. I mean, we just lost Fran Brown too a
Sure.
couple months ago. Fran Brown was our defensive backs coach who produced a lot of talented DBs at UGA, and he took the head coach job at Syracuse. And obviously, I'm sure that he would love to stay in Athens, and I know he loved his time in Athens. But if you're being offered, a head coaching job at Syracuse, an ACC school, you're gonna take that.
Sure.
And I feel like that's kind of the new standard at Georgia. Is like, yeah, it's awesome to be here, awesome to be a wide receiver coach, but it's gonna allow you to be a coach at the NFL level too. And Todd Monken, we lost last year, are probably one of the best offensive coordinators in college football history. I mean, that might be a bit of an exaggeration,
You'll
but
get
for
some
what he
hate.
did, like just in that season, like, and he translated well to the NFL. I mean,
Very much.
besides the playoff game, like the Ravens had an unbelievable offensive season, arguably top 3 offense in the NFL this year. So it's kind of been becoming that spot where our specialty coaches, it might be a revolving door because there's going to be a lot of guys taking those opportunities. And looking into Brian McClendon, he actually has only been the wide receivers coach since February 2022. So, like I said with the revolving door,
Mm,
he just, stepped into that role less than 2 years ago. So, obviously he got a natty under his belt in that 2022 season as a wide receivers coach, but um yeah, it's not really, I guess, a concern, but when you see a guy move up in a position like this, like to go to the NFL, that also looks very good, at for UGA. Like our coaches are going on to the NFL, as you've seen, like Todd Monken and now Brian McClendon. So, yeah, not too much. And as far as the guys that are reportedly we're trying to hire, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a ton. It's a guy from, I'll pull it up right here. A guy from Arkansas, a guy from South Carolina, Georgia Tech. I'm not too knowledgeable on that, but once we hire, our new wide receivers coach, I guess we'll get into that on
sure.
a next show. But that's pretty much all I got on that.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a good revolving door. For speaking from a Florida fan, there is some revolving doors happening currently with Florida. We just had an offensive line coach go to the NFL as well. We lost our strength and conditioning coach at a poor time, but it's again, it's perception. The perception at Georgia is that things are on the up and up, and guys are moving because it's a better opportunity, but also just because they are moving, regardless of what the reasoning is. People are knocking on the door to come to your program right now. So you got to pick at the litter of up and coming talent that could, come in and be better than what you currently have in place. They just haven't had an opportunity to shine. So, for you guys, thankfully, again, you are in a good place that even though you are losing player or coaches to the NFL, it's like all the players want to talk about going to the NFL, right? I mean, you got guys constantly going into the NFL because you're producing talent. But it's also why we talked last week. You're getting tight ends from Stanford, and you're like, we have 19. Why one more? It's like, I see what you guys do. You put them into the NFL. That's my goal. Speaking of, let's talk about the 11 guys I got invited to the combine. It's a stacked list for the dogs here.
Yeah, so those are the guys right there: Brock Bowers, Tyke Smith, Zion Logue. I'm not going to name them all. There's 11 of them, and this is the third consecutive year that Georgia has had double-digit invites to the NFL Combine. Obviously, a record-setting 2022 class where we had 5 guys drafted, 5 defensive players
Mm-hmm.
drafted in the first round, which was ridiculous, and then they had 15 players drafted overall in the 2022 class. And then we had 10 players drafted in the 2023 class. And it looks like if everything goes well, we'll have another 10 guys drafted in this class. And same thing, like it's a revolving door, but it's a good sign because if you want to go to the league, this is the place to be. And there's a lot of guys on this list where they show out, they have a good combine, they could definitely improve their draft stock. I feel like a sleeper, and I feel like his stats just don't necessarily show it because of how much Georgia spreads the wealth, is Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint. He has not had a drop since his freshman year, and he is a true senior. And I think he had 2 drop. I saw it on Twitter. I should have pulled that up. But he has not had a drop in 3 years, and he has just been one of the most reliable wide receivers for us. He's only going to really get, I mean, during the season he probably averaged, I would say, 2 catches for 40 yards a game, but like he just had such impactful catches, and he was, just super reliable. Um and another guy that I think could also improve their draft stock is a guy like Tyke Smith, who won the most valuable player at the Reese's Senior Bowl, on the defensive side of the ball for the American team. And, he's a guy that he's just showcased his resiliency. He had a torn ACL his junior season in 2021. He was a true freshman All American at West Virginia, then transferred to Georgia. So he's not the youngest guy. So I feel like that might, because he was a fifth-year senior. So I guess that might hurt him since he's a
A little
safety,
older.
that
Yeah.
he's not like a 20-year-old. But other than that, yeah. I mean, but then there's going to be some guys where performing below their standards, like I guess like a Brock Bowers, could potentially even hurt his draft stock. I'm not too worried about Brock Bowers having a bad combine, but since he's basically a lock in the top 10, he's
Yeah.
got to meet those expectations. And that we saw the same thing with Jalen Carter last year. Jalen Carter opted out of the combine because he was pretty much, I mean, before the whole, I don't want to get in, the off
Outside,
the
yeah.
field
Off the field
antics,
drama. Yeah.
which happened 500 feet from where I'm sitting right now. Fun fact. Um, yeah, crazy, crazy day 1 year ago after the parade. But yeah, so like a sense of Jalen Carter, he opted out because what was the combine going to do for him?
Sure.
So I feel like with guys like Amarius Mims and Brock Bowers, who are basically our 2 locks, if you want to call it, in the first round, if they don't meet expectations, that's going to hurt their stock. But
We talked, I think, a
yeah,
few weeks ago about Ladd being on that cusp, early second round after his production and that Panther spot.
yeah.
Ricky Pearsall and Ladd seem to be fighting for that. Could a good combine, and I said this too, pop him into a round one. Again, I think size might keep him from that being that round one pick, but again,
Yeah, it's tough because he's like 6 foot, 190 pounds. But
yeah, it's not worth a first round pick. You know what I mean? Like there's just not
yeah,
there's only so much they can do. But a lot of those guys that you were talking about could really surge their stock because they're a talented player on a very talented team. Probably got overshadowed, and now this is an opportunity to separate themselves from the pack when they've always had it. Again, that just with a talented team like Georgia has, you got Brock, Carson Beck, Ladd, right? All these guys that there's constant eyeballs just looking for those big names that have created a name and could overshadow. So it's going to be interesting to see. We have a massive show on our main channel on High Top Sports. We're going to have an entire draft party extravaganza at Best Bet here in St. Augustine. So if you guys are local, obviously, so come by and say, hey, Georgia fan or whatever. Everybody is welcome. So we're going to have some fun with that and give our thoughts and projections. Should be fun to watch. And if Georgia can, you know, pluck a few more in the first round. So what is your projection? You're thinking 2, possibly 3?
I think 2 for sure, like absolutely no doubt. Marius Mims is going to be around the 20s. Brock Bowers is going to be within the top 10. If he shows out, I mean, he could potentially be like a
Top 5?
cusp, like 5, 6
Mm.
overall pick. And then Javon Bullard is a sneaky, like really late first rounder. Like I'm talking like 30, 31st. One of those picks. It's tough though. It's tough because that's another super undersized guy. I believe Javon Bullard is like, I mean, I've met him in person. He's probably 5'10", 180. But if you look at the tape, he is just, I feel like I'm trying to like think of a word to describe him. I guess like feisty would be a
Okay.
word.
That's
That that
fair.
that sounds kind of that yeah, that sounds kind of,
I get it. I
I
mean,
don't know,
he plays
yeah,
big
like,
for
that's
his
just the way he
size.
plays.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
play.
is just all over the place, all over the field. So Javon Bullard could sneak into that 30-31 range. And then I think every guy on that board, could get drafted without a doubt
At
within
some
7
point.
rounds. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of like 4th, 5th, and 6th rounders, but yeah.
we had an offensive lineman commit to the Gators yesterday. Peyton Joseph, 6'3" guy, but he's a 4-star top 125 player, and he plays bigger than 6'3". But 6'3" for a guard, small. They were looking for 6'4", 6'5". He has to wait, but he plays like he's 6'4", 6'5". Incredible
Yeah.
technique. So that when you were talking about him, that's what kind of what that was reminding me of. Is again the size again. People take that into consideration, right? I don't think everybody ignored it with Bryce Young for some reason, and now I think it's going to bite them in the butt. But they just
Yeah.
think the guy's not 5'11". He's 5'9" on a good day. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Should be a really exciting draft. Like I said, I mean, just with all the NFL quarterback or all quarterback talent that is coming into this class. Last year's class was exciting. This class has been, I would say, advertised to be a better quarterback class. The Caleb Williams saga kind of, I think, downgraded this class a little bit, but I think overall quality, there's a lot of good quarterbacks that will be or should be the future for the NFL. So I think it's going to be an electric one. And somebody like a Brock Bowers, those guys, they won't come make a splash right away, but somebody like a Dalton Kincaid, who was a big time pickup last year, went to the Bills. He definitely had his splash and impact for the Bills this year. And I think Brock Bowers, I hope he goes to a team that utilizes a tight end like a Baltimore with Mark Andrews or Jaguars with Evan Ingram, right? Where you'll see Brock
Mhm.
continue to have the success that he has. I would love to see a lad go to like a Rams where they utilize those slot guys and just feed them, right?
Yeah,
A Brock to, I don't think the Bengals have a top pick, but a Brock to a Joey B, that'd be fun to watch. I tune in every Sunday for that.
for sure.
Well, boys and girls, again, be sure to smash the like button. Just damn near about to hit 200 subs, which is absolutely incredible in just a month's time. So we're staying steady cruising. Like I said, things are going to heat up here over the next few weeks. We were talking. I didn't forget. The Gators did take down Georgia in basketball. I know this is a Georgia channel, but I got to get my jabs when I can. It seems like
I mean, hey, it's relevant. It's relevant.
yeah, we're here. I think that's going to be that's probably the end for Georgia making the March Madness, unless they have a run, I guess, in the SEC
They would
tournament.
Well, hey, in 2008, I was not watching Georgia basketball at that time, but in 2008, they were the last seed in the SEC tournament, made a run, won the entire SEC tournament, and was a 14 seed in March Madness.
I was, bro, what a pull, what a pull! I love it. So
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
chance.
I mean,
You're telling me there's a chance?
Georgia basketball has been just so historically terrible that you
Sure,
got to know those
fair
facts.
enough, fair enough.
They
And
have they
that was
have
the year
I
Florida won.
believe 3 SEC championships. I mean, just think about that. In the history of Georgia basketball, 1983 when they went to the Final Four with Dominique, and they beat Michael Jordan, might I add. And then one other year, and then 2008, and that's it. The last time that Georgia made the March Madness tournament was 2015. They lost to Michigan State. And
Good
then
loss.
the last time they won a game, they're like, it's like one of the longest streaks in Power 5 history. The last time they won a game, I believe, was 2002. So just, I mean,
You're dialed into this.
fire and ice.
I love it.
Fire,
So I think the one thing I
fire
will
and
say,
ice with the football and basketball programs for Georgia.
I was poking our buddy Jack. He's also a Georgia fan because I was, I got to get my jabs in while I can. Florida right now, our flex is that we're good at everything. We're coming off a golf national champ. Look, hey, don't make fun of me. I'm gonna take it where I can. Golf national championship, swimming's good, gymnastics
Best
good.
swimming. I think the best swimming school in the nation, right?
Yeah, really good at swimming. Baseball, we went to the national championship, lost to LSU. And
Yep.
he's like, you would change 2 natties for all of that. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But this is where we're at. So I'm going to take it. But look, the SEC basketball, I will say 1 through 6 or 7, right? The top 7 teams, it's a coin flip. Georgia's not in that, but that doesn't mean that the bottom half isn't, that far off. It's just Georgia kind of,
Yeah, Georgia's not a bad team by any
no,
means.
And that's
They're
basketball.
just they're
It's the
just not
margins.
good.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
That's
But hey,
that's
we
fair.
got next game. We're playing Vanderbilt, which is this one of the worst teams in the SEC. So
Imagine me and Vanny,
hopefully
just not good at
they win.
anything. Well, they're good at baseball. Just kidding. They're good
Baseball,
at baseball.
baseball.
They're really good at baseball. Well, boys and girls, again, continue to smash the like button. Continue to leave your comments criticizing my pronunciation of names. We do appreciate those and your thoughts on all things Georgia football or basketball. Until next time, I'm Shelton. That's Bryce. Again, smash the like button, subscribe. See you guys.